Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Tape, podcast where we chat to legends within the mountain bike industry, whether that's media, riders, brand managers, or in this case, people that are just doing rad things. This episode is an absolute banger, but before I move on to it, I want to talk about some of our supporters and sponsors. Without these guys, the podcast definitely wouldn't be here today. First off, we've got Trek Bikes. I've been absolutely frothing the Trek Top Fuel lately. It is basically the XC bike designed for enduro or downhill riders. Super lightweight, super punchy, super agile for all those tight, tricky climbs. Whenever you want to get out of the saddle, short, steep, little punches, this bike reacts and just wants to climb like a mountain goat. But the best thing is like the Geo with like a 66 degree head angle, a nice steep 70 degree seat tube, some longer reach. Everything's just made longer, lower and slacker so that you are going faster downhill on these small travel bikes while having a ton of fun. Honestly, if you're looking for a sick little trail bike that you just want to go and punch Ks on while having an absolute blast, make sure you look at the Top Fuel. It is so damn sick. Next up, we've got Tailored Trails. Now, coming into 2023, if you've not had your head under a rock, you would know that there is a bunch of racing about to happen down in Tassie. There are some EWS, ERD, whatever they're called now, rounds down there in Derby and Maydena. If you want to head down there for some pre-riding, in the spirit of enduro, it'd be bad not to head down there and get some free practice if you're from the country. Head down there, hit up Tailored Trails and get those guys to show you around. They'll be able to show you the tracks, show you what's happening, give you all the inside tips on where you need to ride, what you need to do, and how to ride those trails. So make sure you hit those guys up if you want to head down to Tassie and experience the best mountain biking Tassie has to offer. Next, Lead Out Sports. What absolute legends. There are no tools I'd rather work on my bike with than what Lead Out Sports brings in with you. Firstly, I hate chain whips. Chain whips are ancient pieces of crap. They're just a simple tool that is made to make a job harder. I hate chain whips with a passion. But then I got the Pedro's Vice Whip. The Vice Whip takes all that faffing about with the chain whip, putting on the right way, getting in, if you're in a rush, it just sucks. The chain whip is gone. The Vice Whip, you just clamp it on, chuck your cassette tool in there, undo it, 30 seconds, all good to go. The best tool that Pedro's have ever made. It's a game changer. Everyone needs one. Thank me later. Super simple intro. Next, we've got Franked. Franked make the best clothing in Australia. Not Aussie designed for the Aussie conditions, designed for Aussie riders. There's nothing more you could want in Australia, really, or around the world. Their shorts, I can't stress this enough, super comfy. Love their Air Tech jerseys though. Super lightweight, super breathable, and trust me, I've crashed in a few of them. Super tough. So I love their designs, super simple. They're just super, really. Make sure you use Beyond the Tape 10 at checkout to get 10% discount off of their already amazing prices. If you're sick of paying $300 for a jersey that lasts 3 rides, hit up Franked, get a good deal, use the code. Let them know that you're supporting them because you want to support us. Dirt Surfers make some of the best custom mud guards on the market. They offer custom designs to suit you or your club or your brand. If you want to try them out, head over to our merch store, grab some of the Beyond the Tape ones, and let us know how they go because we've been running them on our bikes for a long time here and absolutely froth them. Crush keeps our bike clean, but the best thing they do is keep our gear from stinking. Sanex is the best stuff ever made, ever, especially if you're on a camping or a riding trip. You just spray this stuff in, let it dry. Kit smells like bubblegum for days. It's the best. Makes you a little bit hungry, but absolutely love it. And Fist, man, their gloves are amazing, but their socks are so damn good. They're so damn good that my dogs won't stop eating them. Super good compression fit, rad designs, good length. all I need to say. Head over to FIS, use Beyond the Tape, get a bit of a discount. Same with Dirt Surfers, same with Lead Out. Use Beyond the Tape 10 or Beyond Tape 15, get a bit of a discount. Anyway, that's enough for me dribbling. This intro, I've left this guy's name till the last because he is undoubtedly one of the best biking athletes in Australia. And I'm happy to say that. Luke Parker was a pro freestyle BMXer at the age of 16, qualified for Dew Cups, Dew Tours, hit up the American scene, and just took on the world by storm. Unfortunately, he had some mishaps, saw him kind of leave the BMX scene. He picked up a mountain bike and has taken to that like a duck takes to water, throwing some of the biggest, smoothest, best tricks out in Australia. And he's taking on the world. And I think I forgot to mention in there that he was a top-level BMX racer as a kid. Seriously, let's just let that sink in for a bit. Maybe not a whole minute. As per usual, grab beer, grab water, grab wine, and enjoy the podcast. No, it seems to be working fine. I'm just keeping this.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Easy, man. Sweet. Well, yeah. Luke Parker, welcome to the potty. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Big year for you in 2022 by the looks of it. Seems like everything was going on.
Yeah, it was quite unexpected, I'd say. Like, we just started off the year with Highline, and then there was always a little bit of discussion about doing more events, but I was running my own carpentry business. And then, yeah, it was just kind of take things as they come. And, yeah, after Highline, a couple more opportunities popped up and headed overseas and took off from there. So, yeah, a bit unexpected, but, yeah, it turned out to be quite a full-on year.
So you ended up going to a few of the Crankworks stops or the Crankworks qualifier stops, was it?
Yeah, so it started off, we went to Europe to do silver events because you can pre-qualify for a silver event, and it's quite beneficial having Highline so early in the year because it gives you those points. So, we went to Switzerland and Slovakia were the two silver events. And then the events in Canada were gold events, which they're quite hard to get invited to, but yeah, they have the wild cards up for Crankworks and stuff. So yeah, that was the goal, was to get to them, and we did, and I injured myself straight away, but still fun.
It's all part of it, right? I mean, if you're throwing yourself off ramps and doing that stuff, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I like to think I'm a pretty consistent rider, but I also know that I do crash a lot. So I had a good run. Like, I broke my wrist at the end of Europe and then only had 4 weeks back home before we went to Canada, and then I broke my back the 3rd day in Canada. But I feel like, yeah, everything that happened, like all good things came out of it. So can't complain really.
Talk us, so how's it kind of work then? So to get on, say, like a Crankworks, like a big Crankworks stop, say like Innisbrook or Whistler being the biggest one, you have to get points. So Highline had points for it, which is pretty sick.
It's such a hard thing. Well, it's not a hard thing to understand. It's just so broad that it's like quite confusing because there's diamond events, which are your Crankworks and like district ride and stuff, which is obviously like very elite guys. They only take, I think, the top 14 get into that, and that's it. So, and then you have the gold events, which is invite only. So I'd say, I think maybe top 30 riders get invited, minus the riders that don't want to attend that event. So you usually take the Crankworks dudes out of that. So then say you're taking the top 45 riders sort of thing once you take out those top 14. And then silver events, which is what Highline is, which they're meant to be invite only, but I don't think they are. Like, I think you can kind of apply to get into the event, and then just your standard bronze event. So there is a set amount of points for each event, and I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it, because it's like each event obviously has more points. So if you got 15th in a gold event, you're probably still getting more points than winning a bronze event.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So that's where it's more beneficial to focus on getting to one gold event for the year and doing well in that than what you are going to, I don't know, like 10 bronze events sort of thing.
Mm.
And I think they only take your best 3 results as well. So I've got my win from Highline, and then I've got a 6th in a silver event in Switzerland, and then I've got like a 16th or something in Slovakia where I had a crash. So, which that still outranks any bronze event that I've done. So,
yeah, right.
You got to be quite strategic about it, I think, at the start of the year when you're planning it. And yeah, it's like I'm still learning so much about it all the time, like how much points you need, what events you should be doing. And it's awesome now that, like, at the gold events, we had like Nikolai Rogatkin, David Godziak, David Lieb. So you get the chance to talk to them and say, like, what events did you guys do, sort of thing.
Mm.
David Lieb's a great example of, he did the gold event at Silver Star, which got his wild card for Joyride. So, like, you've still got real top name dudes that are at these events trying to get into Crankworks for either the first time or to re-qualify, sort of thing. So, yeah, it's quite a big process. I think it ended up being about like 8 or 9 events outside of Australia that we attended just to try and qualify for a Crankworks event.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's so much like money and effort to get close to entering.
Yeah, I self-funded this year as well, because it's a hard one to, well, at the start of the year, definitely, even after Highline, I was still like a very no-name rider in mountain biking. Like, I was just like, you're like, oh, you're the ex-BMX guy. And it's like, yeah, can't say no to that. But it was, yeah, I had, the only sponsor I had at the time was Fox. And yeah, like, when you start thinking about, I had money from running my own business that could have gone towards a house deposit. That's how much this year cost.
Yeah, right.
And instead, that accounts, like, that money's gone now. Like, and it's just, yeah, Europe was pretty well planned out. Like, it was myself, my girlfriend, and Galen Slaney travelled together. And Darko helped us out immensely with that. They had a van over there in France.
Sick.
And Matthew's parents live in France. So, like, they picked us up at the airport. We got the van and we were able to road trip through most of Europe. So that was unreal. But Canada, we got, I think I got the invite. I had a broken wrist and it was like 3 weeks till the event.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so to book flights to Canada now, you just got to fork out, like, do a return trip, you're forking out like $4 or $5 grand.
Jesus.
You're booking them like 2 weeks before you got to go. And yeah, the cost is just like I wouldn't change it for the world. It's like, I thought I'd struggle with myself a little bit, knowing that I broke my back the 3rd day in Canada, but I still got to like go watch all the events I was there for, got to hang out with everyone, got to go to Joyride. Like, I pretty much got a sick mountain bike vacation without the mountain biking. So,
well, I guess you're paying for like experiences, right? Like, you're not, and they're going to last you a lifetime. It's not like you're buying a car that you're going to use for 5 years and that goes out in the bin type thing. Like,
yeah, and like, end of the day, like, well, as I said, I literally couldn't think of anything on that trip that I'd like. Yeah, there's nothing I'd change about it. Like, even Slovakia, I was pretty lucky. I broke my wrist I think the day before we were coming home. So that's like, I'd been there for over 4 weeks, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, they're going home no matter what. And then, yeah, like breaking my back was nowhere near as bad as how it sounds. Like I was able to walk around the next day. Gold events, you treated like royalty sort of thing.
Oh,
like
sick.
On-site physios and like accommodation was provided for all the events and everything.
No way.
Transportation. So it was like so I hurt myself, but then you do get really well looked after, and it made the experience like still really well. Like I treated it as if it was a holiday. So
yeah, right.
It ended up being, well, I was thinking worst case scenario when it happened. Obviously, like I've just broken my back. Like, do we fly home now? Like we've been there for 3 days. Like, and then staying was the best thing that ever happened. Like, I think just being like Brandon Semenuk, I met at Whistler, and he's been, even when I was riding BMX professionally, and my favorite rider was like Brandon Semenuk.
Yeah,
like,
right. That's insane.
It was just like, even just for a moment like that, like I was lining up behind a bunch of like, there was literally a massive line of like 10-year-old kids, and it was at the Etnies tent, and the Etnies guy like knew who I was, and he's just like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm getting a poster." And it was just, I could imagine it would have looked quite funny at the time, but just that experience even itself, just wouldn't change it for the world. So.
That's so good. I can just imagine this sea of 10-year-olds and this 6-foot dude just standing above them.
Well, I'm quite short, so it's like, I guess I'd probably blend in a little bit.
You just see your growth spurt early, right? Like,
pretty much.
I remember, I was like pretty blown away because I didn't know much about you at the start of the year, to be honest. And then I saw you ride Highline. And I was just literally like, who the fuck is this guy? I'm like, why is he riding this like unbranded bike? And like, he's on Fox, which is sick. But dude, like you and Mike Ross were just head and shoulders above the rest of people there. And I was just like, who is this guy? Like, what was entering the mountain bike scene like for you?
It was, well, it's a long backstory with my BMX career sort of thing. Like I think before I got on the mountain bike, so I think I've been on the mountain bike for about 3 years now. And it was originally, I just got a hardtail one day when I was just like, I was still sponsored by Colony BMX, but I wasn't riding a whole lot. I just filmed a street video, which that's what makes it even kind of funnier, was I focused solely on street riding for like 3 years before I got on the dirt jumper. And then, I think I just seen my mate had a dirt jumper up for sale, and I was like, oh, I'll get it. It'll just be fun to ride, just mix it up a bit. Like I was just getting a bit bored with just riding, and I didn't have time to go anywhere other than my local skate park. So it's like I wasn't doing anything. I just wanted something to mess around on. And then I started doing like tricks again that I hadn't done in years on a BMX, because I have such a fear on a BMX about injuries, because I've had some horrific injuries. And I was like, oh, it makes no sense. It's just a different bike, but I'm not worried about it, sort of thing. And then, Benny Phillips invited me out to his setup, and I went out there once and just, did tricks that I hadn't done in like 10 years. Like first time a dirt jumper, doing like flip tucks, 3-whip bars, like stuff that I used to do a lot of on a BMX that I'd be way too scared to do now. I was just doing them without thinking about it. And then as well as that, I met, so I used to ride with Ben all the time at Ramfest, but then I met like Galen, Matt Cooper, and started having these sessions, and I was like, oh, it's like a real good group of guys to be riding with, which I didn't have riding BMX anymore. I was just riding the skate park by myself. So it was, that side of things happened real naturally. It was just like just going to ride for fun with friends, and I was just progressing, like doing all these tricks that I'd done on a BMX that they're obviously different. Like I definitely hit a wall with it, which frustrated me. Because first time I rode, as I said, did like a 3 to bar first session, but then it'd be like just smaller tricks that I just couldn't figure out. Like that. But as for the BMX side of things, because I was still a sponsored BMX rider, I still technically am. I don't think I've been taken off the pack.
I think you still are, according to Colony, but yeah.
Yeah. So, there was definitely like, I think everyone's always got something to say about things. And I don't think no one noticed that I wasn't riding a BMX, but everyone noticed when I started riding a mountain bike. So it was just like, and I'd been filming a street edit at the time that I think people got a bit weirded out that I finished this video probably 2 months before it came out, which was when I started riding the dirt jumper. So all of a sudden I've got this new video out, but I'm only posting me riding a mountain bike on Instagram and stuff. I just caused a bit of mild confusion, and like I definitely wasn't in the I guess I definitely didn't have like I don't have 100,000 Instagram followers. Like it's not like I have a massive backing sort of thing, but I think just because I was such like a core part of BMX in especially Melbourne for so long that, I think a lot of people took notice of it sort of thing. And it like, I always love reading comments of what people have to say, like good or bad. But there was definitely a lot of comments of just people talking shit for no reason. And I'm like,
it's BMX, right? Like,
to be honest, that motivated me more to just like put it behind me, like, and just focus on, like, as I said, riding with Benny, and that they were like, Ben's a real hard person to ride with because he's like peer pressures you so much that it's just frustrating as hell. Like you don't want to try something and he's just in your ear the whole time. But it's like I didn't have that encouragement for so long, but it's what you needed to like kind of fuel yourself to get over such a fear that I had from crashing on a BMX. And that's where things just slowly took off sort of thing. And then I rode Highline last year with a broken foot. So that that didn't go too well. But then
you only won.
No, this was the year before.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so me and Ben went to test that boner log on that Mansfield course, and Ben 50-50 cased it, and I landed dead flat over it, and just like my foot shattered on the pedal. And then
that's like a max air to flat. That's going to be like 30 foot down on a hardtail. It's big.
We worked out it had to have been 6 meters or something nearly. But
sorry, go ahead.
So after Highline that year, I had a good break. Well, because I had a broken foot, I was kind of sitting there, and I'd always watch Crankworks. Like it's not like I didn't know what Crankworks was, sort of thing. Just my main career focus was BMX. So then, when I had that downtime, you really start looking into what like the sport is about, sort of thing. And I just had so much motivation when I could ride again that from that moment I was learning like 2 tricks a week.
Yeah, right.
Going as hard as I could. I'd watch nothing but Crankworks, like just having one of those moments. And now we're here.
What was it that scared? Like you mentioned that BMX was kind of scary, or you were worried while riding and stuff. What was it exactly about the little bike that kind of put you off?
So I had a very short, like full-time professional BMX career. And that was when I was 16, I went to America and I won Gatorade Free Flow Tour, that was a qualifying event for amateurs to get into Dew Tour. So I guess the equivalent of that now is like getting the wild card for Crankworks sort of thing.
It's huge, right? Like the Dew Tour is the shit.
That was the peak. So I did that when I was 16, and I was riding due to a dirt in Las Vegas, and did a front flip bar spin, which that was in 2011 that I tried a front flip bar spin, which back then I think it had been done a couple of times, but definitely not like just mid competition sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the only camera angle we've got, it looks like I landed it, but because they have it in like a real tight area for spectating, obviously there was the real steep last landing and then a real sharp corner, and I just I think I just got bucked off the bike, body slammed the corner, and that like ruptured my spleen and my kidney.
Yeah.
Broke a few ribs. I think I was unconscious for about 4 or 5 minutes or something. Caused a lot of other injuries, but yeah, that put me in intensive care for a few days. And then when we got back home to Australia, I couldn't ride for, it was almost a year. I was off the bike.
Yeah, wow.
And then not long before that one, I snapped my shin bone when I was 15 and had one of those full like metal cages on my leg with the pin.
Sick. Yeah. Yeah.
Had that on for like 4 months or something. And then after that, had plaster.
Yeah.
So that was just traumatizing. And then when I was 18, went back to America just to do like, there was like the Vital BMX games of bike and stuff. I just went and did them, did Texas Toast Jam and a couple of other things. And then got back home and I was riding like the best I ever have. And I just broke my ankle one day, just end of a session. I don't remember what I was doing, but it was something so small. It was like doing a foot jam or something. And my hand slipped off the grip and I looped out and just snapped my ankle, had to get it bolted together. And then I remember after that recovery, I rode for 2 weeks and then snapped my other ankle.
Fuck.
And that was enough to just send my BMX career from like being at the pinnacle when you're at 16 years old, 17, 18, 19, you're just getting lower and lower and lower. And just you go like at that time I started working then as well because you have no choice. It's like once you turn 18, it's like, well, you need to get a car now and stuff. Whereas when I was 16, people treated me like I was riding for Fit, Monster Energy, Vans. Like, I guess people kind of looking at me like I was going to be a big thing. And then within 2 years, you've forgotten about pretty quickly because you haven't ridden a bike. So, and then, from there, I was just working full time, still riding a lot, but it was just like I was riding for Colony and, I was pretty dedicated to working. Like, I liked my job as a carpenter and was doing my apprenticeship and it's like not that it fizzled out. Like I was always determined to, like I was still always on road trips. I was still always like filming edits. Like I think I still filmed probably like 6 or 7 edits. Like
shit. Yeah.
But it was just that there was no way for me to be able to ride at that level to get back into where I needed to be. So you're just kind of at the point where you're going to ride a bike and like I was having the most fun with it because like even though I rode for Colony, Cooper, who was my team manager, was also my filmer. So he always knew. Like he always knew what I was doing. Like he never doubted anything or like there was like a lot of great trips and everything, but there was definitely a part of me that just couldn't like get out of my head that I could just drop in and like crash and break my leg and then I remember I made like an Instagram post just saying like I'm done riding competitions and shit and now like people that like I think I deleted it pretty quick, but people that seen it still give me shit. They're like, "Oh, when's your next retirement?" and stuff. But yeah,
Oh, that's too good.
I think when you it's a real hard one, and that many injuries, and like I can't say any of them gave me real bad physical pain because like I've got a real good pain tolerance, but also like I was snapping limbs to the point where you feel nothing in them, sort of thing. Like, and the mental state that puts you in, being injured so much, like missing even just missing high school, sort of like the years that I should have been enjoying the most, I was injured the whole time. It took like, I don't think I realised at the time of the mental toll it takes on you, as well as knowing that you're just fading out of this spotlight that everyone put you in. It's just like, it was quite a rough thing to go through that. Just like,
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, man, at 16, I could barely get to work on time, let alone having the pressure of like monster vans and fit, and you're going to perform at that level that you've kind of set for yourself, I guess. Like, was that hard to deal with at the time as well? Or?
I think like the first time I went to America, it's so funny to think about now that mum and dad sent me there when I was 16 by myself for like 3 months. Like,
why not?
Yeah, like that's crazy. And I was riding for fit at the time. I was meant to land and then go on a road trip, and that road trip got cancelled. So I had nowhere to go for the first like 10 days. And mum's like freaking out, like, and I'm just saying to her, like, I'm in America all of a sudden, don't know anyone. I was staying with one of the dudes that worked for Fit, Lloyd, who was just like working in the warehouse. But I ended up just randomly staying with him because I had nowhere else to go. And then we were riding, I think it was the compound or whatever, one night, which had Matt Cordova, Joey Cordova, Larry Edgar, Chris Fox.
Yep.
Where I met like Caroline Buchanan for the first time. Like she was over there. There's a raceway right next to it. But then I met this kid that was riding for Fit, Justin Spreet, and his dad was there, who's like the most like loud, just stoked dude you've ever met. But like I'm this 16-year-old kid with this like 40-year-old coming up to me, just like talking to me so like loud and boisterous in my face. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like I had no idea who he was at all. And then he's like, oh, you can come like stay at my place. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like that's weird as. And then I found out that he was Justin's dad, the kid that rode for Fit. And it like made a bit more sense then. And then
if you didn't know that beforehand, that's so creepy and so out there.
That's what I mean. That was like, it's so funny. I've told him this story as well, and it's like, they found it hilarious. But I ended up living with them for like 2 months. Like they took me in, and like Justin had a sister that's like the same age as my sister as well. It was just like being in like my family over there sort of thing. I can't think of the money they spent on me. Just like they gave me a bedroom, like did my washing, fed me every night. Like they even, when I had the Gatorade Free Flow finals, they flew to Portland from California just to come and watch me.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, like that was, so that was like the best thing that ever happened to me. But I can't even remember where I was going with it. But
no, it sounds sick. I was just saying, like, all that pressure that would have been on you at 16, and but you managed to get through it all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, that's where I was going. So I think having like kind of, they ended up being my American family sort of thing, having them there, and the fact that they were put in the effort to come and watch me at competitions, it was like, and that, like, I felt the pressure sort of thing, but it's like one of those, like, at the time, the BMX scene coming out of Melbourne was insane. So it was just like, I was just trying to follow in the tracks of what, like, guys that I rode with a lot that were going to, like, Dave Mirror's warehouse and stuff in Greenville. You know, all I had in my head at the time was like, oh, like, if I win this competition or if I'm riding good, maybe like I can go ride with them. And I was at Dew Tour for Cole Baldock's breakout year, which was crazy.
Yeah,
that's
sick.
crazy to think about. Like, I was there for that as well. But yeah, like, you feel the pressure, but I think if I think back now on it, it's like I was 16, like, started thinking I was like a rock star. Like, I was willing to send it, like, no matter what. Like, I was just like, I was like all or nothing back then, which I think I still am now, just a bit more calculated. So,
so like after that big like spleen injury and stuff, and you kind of sat around at home watching crankworks and that type of thing as well, like, how are you fitting in your carpentry apprenticeship and stuff as well? Is it kind of hard to go to being an apprentice after all that? Like, you're on the world stage,
yeah,
like in front of thousands of people now.
Yeah, it was like, well, I guess it's like, it's almost similar to how things are now on a much lower athlete scale compared to what I was being compared to back then. But it's like, even going to Crankworks Cairns, got fourth in speed and style, and then I was at work 2 days later, just like busting me ass, and you're like, what's going on? Like, but yeah, it is a harsh reality of just how things are. Like I was getting helped out a little bit with money back then, but like nowhere near enough to like justify to my parents not getting a job, sort of thing. Like, it's like, well, like, I had very supportive parents. Like, I think I'm pretty sure they refinanced the house to send me to America. Like, that's,
no way. That's insane.
Yeah, like we didn't grow up with money, but it was always like, you know, if you think you can go do something, and like, that's what I said to him. We found out about the free flow tour through one of like the local guys doing it, and he got in a Dew Tour, and then I said, like, I remember having the conversation saying, like, I think I can do this. Like I think I can go to America and win. And yeah, they pretty much went, well, if you reckon you can do it, then
yeah,
we'll find a way to make it happen. And
that's sick.
Yeah. So yeah, it's but yeah, coming home and then being injured and then just going to get a job. It's like, you know, you can't do anything about it. Like, that's just the way life is, sort of thing. Like, and at the same time, you can always just try and get back to the point of what you were riding, which I was trying to do. But yeah, like the mental health side of things, as well as like just life progressing, like turning 18, getting your license, getting a car. And then, you know, as like 6 months goes by, you could be like moving up in your job and you're getting more money, and just, yeah, the way things progressed, it goes so fast. Like,
true.
Like I just turned 28. So to think now that was, yeah, over 10 years ago, nearly 12 years ago that I rode Dew Tour, like, yeah, it's a hard one to think about. And you can never not think, like, what if I landed that front flip bar spin, because I did flip no hander, triple whip mid set to front flip bar spin. Like,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
like at that time, if I landed that, like, there's nothing saying I couldn't have been on the podium at Dew Tour. Like, and that's another thing that I struggled with for a very long time, is going like, what if like I landed that, like where would I be now, sort of thing. Like, because you can kind of I'd say if I did land that front flip bar spin, I probably would have had quite a good BMX career after that.
Yeah.
And instead I ended up coming home and now I'm a carpenter.
Yeah, but like if you dwell on that what if stuff, then you don't end up being a carpenter, or you don't end up doing other stuff because you're so busy trying to change something you can't change that you just spiral down, right?
Yeah, well, I think I did do I'm quite a motivated person, I'd say. So I think I did like not that I use my job to take my mind off it, but like I do pride myself a lot on, especially these days, that I think I am quite good at my job, and I've been a carpenter for over 10 years now. So like I think I think being a tradie is a big part of who I am, and that as well. So yeah, you also look at it from that perspective of, well, like also where would I be today without that? And like, without being without being able to run my own business like I was, sort of thing, I wouldn't have been able to afford to travel this year. So like I guess it's just a very well-rounded circle that finds a way to work out, I guess. So
I did laugh though, like 2 days after Crankwork, seeing your stories of working back at the carpentry, and then Mike Rocks just digging trenches and electrician and stuff. And also, guys are just always working.
Yeah, I think I guess like you seen the post the other day. I'm not sure who posted it about there not being much money in like the sport where it's needed, sort of thing. And it's just like we're not just trying to get money for nothing, sort of thing. It's just like when you're not getting any help at all, it's like, well, we need high-end jobs and we need to be working those jobs 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. Like there's no other way around it. Like people go, oh, you've been riding a lot. It's like, yeah, I get home from work and go ride for 5 hours because I have no choice. Like I can't go ride. I can't just finish work at 10 o'clock and go ride during the day. Like it doesn't work like that. So, but yeah, it's always a fun one to get home from Crankworks and then just
straight back on the tools.
Post the story, make sure everyone sees it.
And unfortunately, unless slopestyle ends up in the Olympics, I don't think money's going to change from the Australian Federation anyway. So it's about looking outside, unfortunately.
That's where, I've been very fortunate with what I've been given. I guess that's another thing as well, is like I've been sponsored since I was 14 years old. Like a lot of people lose the value of product in that. And I'm very fortunate now that like I'm not just getting handed money, but people are willing to have those discussions with me, and they understand that like my experience of like I've been a professional before and how I can represent the brand and stuff. And I think like it's good now that companies are like, we're not just trying to get athletes paid in Australia. It's like we're still saying like you need to be one of the top ranked riders in the world still to get paid. Like it's not like we don't just expect you to give, like me and Mike aren't going to go, we're the top two in Australia, you've got to pay us just because we're the top two in Australia. It's like, well, we're competing on a world scale. The guys that we're beating are getting paid. So just because the sponsor has AU on the end of it doesn't mean that there shouldn't be a budget for not even a salary. Like we're still just trying to get a bit of travel. Like that's about it really. So yeah, that's where it is. Yeah, it is hard. Like I can easily say this year cost me 25 grand. That's gone now. And that money, as I said, came from running my own business, which I'm not doing anymore. I'm just working as a subcontractor now. So it's like, if nothing happens, then how do I do it again next year? Like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the conversations I'm having at the moment, which have been really positive. Like, everyone's doing what they can to help me out, but yeah, it's quite daunting. Like, now I think I've got one contract finalised out of 5, and you're just sitting here going, like, you're hoping to get like half of what you ask for to be able to do this again next year.
Mm.
You also sit here thinking, well, if that don't come through, then that could be it. Like, it might not happen. So
how's that just? I mean, don't need to go into details because obviously there's things in the background, but like, how do those discussions kind of happen? Do you wait for the brands to approach you, or are you looking? Do you approach other brands, or how's it kind of work?
No, so the original thing. So my original sponsor, which was Fox, came about through, I used to ride for Fox for BMX riding. And not saying I walked into that one, but I knew the right people to talk to get that sort of thing. And also people that knew what I'd done on a BMX that went like, yeah, well, we don't doubt that you could do it on a mountain bike sort of thing. And then, yeah, that, like, things with Fox ended really well. Like, I love Benny Bickerstaff. Like, I think he's the nicest person ever who runs Fox in Australia.
Dude, he is.
Yeah, he's
a legend.
Like, yeah, legend. Like, I could never say a bad word about like even they were offering me like just a helmet and goggle sponsor. Like, they were doing anything they could to like look after me, but pretty much that ended because I said, like, this is what I'm trying to do this year, which was just after Highline, like just one Highline. We're going to do the world tour, just want a little bit of help. And then couldn't really get what I needed out of them. And then that's when I started talking to Darko, and it was always like, I think most brands have like a loyalty period sort of thing. Like, the first year you ride for them, unless you are the top, like, unless you are a top well-known athlete that's going to just absolutely cream it for them, then every company has a loyalty period. Like, we'll give you product for a year and then we'll talk after that sort of thing. Like, and I think, yeah, Darko was the first one. And then I was working with, well, at the time, Dave Leslie was just kind of helping me out. He was running the Australian Slopestyle tour. And I met him through Darko, and I actually met him through his son Leroy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I met them at Highline. And then, yeah, Dave's like a real good businessman. So he was just kind of like, I guess, sending quite formal emails for me that I wasn't sure how to go about. And he was pretty much just asking me, like, you know.
He's like, OG BMX as well, isn't he? I think.
I'm not sure if Dave is. Maybe. I'll have to ask him about that one.
Yeah, because I think Matt Holmes from 2020 and stuff, they're all good mates and stuff. I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. But, yeah, so I had Darko for clothing, and then it was pretty much, what helmet do you want to wear? And I was like, well, I was always wearing a Bell Full 9 helmet. So I was like, email went out to Bell. And then, like, this was all after Highline, which obviously helped immensely. Like, we had all the footage, we had a win, like, we had everything that I hadn't had to package together, sort of thing. And then, yeah, I think I was literally about to get on the plane to go to Europe when I spoke to Andy from Etnies, and he was like he was. That was like one of the best phone calls I've ever had, because he's like one of the nicest people ever as well. And he was just like, yeah, we're going to help you out. I'm like, well, I'm about to get on an airplane right now to go to Europe. He's like, yep, we'll sort something out over there. And my uncle lives in the Netherlands, and they got stuff sent to his house for me to pick up. Like, so yeah, like there has been a mixture of like kind of approaching a brand in quite a subtle way. Like, we're not saying we want 10 grand. Like, it's kind of like, look, like this is what this is what I'm planning to do this year. And then like this is kind of what we're after, which was mostly just product, because we understood that we couldn't ask for much more, sort of thing. And just like get your foot in the door. And then, yeah, along with that came the brands approaching me as well, which kind of, has put me in quite a good position now. And then moving forward after this year, you start to package things into like, all right, loyalty period's over. You've seen me on a world scale, even though I was injured at the major events, like the riders there, I guess they think I should be there as well. And
definitely
that's where you need to start talking about, we're not just Australian riders anymore. Like, we're riders that, not saying like we're going to be in Crankworks this year, but I'm planning on making it happen. And I'm sure
give it a red hot go. Like,
Mike feels the same way. Like, we're not spending our money to go have fun. As fun as it is, I'm not spending my money to go to Canada for a good time. Like,
yeah, you're not there to break your back and sit in a hotel.
Yeah,
but yeah, like watching you guys throw down was so sick. Like watching Mikey Ross's like flat drop, like cash roll, and then you were throwing down hard, and then Galen as well, just like making it happen. It was so sick to see.
Yeah, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise as well. Obviously, like I think every event we went to this year, we were the first Australian riders to ever do it. Like, obviously Benny Phillips did Crankworks a long time ago. I think he just did best trick, but like apart from him, there's been no Australian riders at FMB Gold events or silver events in different countries, I think. So
not since it's been a thing.
Yeah. So I think it definitely, like, I remember being in Switzerland with Lenny and just people, like, we had everyone coming up to us like they were in shock that we were Australian. They're like, it's
no
so
way.
like, it's so far away, and we're like, we know, like, we traveled here. Like, but yeah, that, like, yeah, I think no matter what, like, I think no matter what happened this year, it was going to be a good outcome for, like, just not saying we're representing slopestyle in Australia. Like, there's still like Matt Cooper's one of my favourite riders to watch. Benny still sends it on a regular basis. Like, but I think it was great for the sport in Australia to have us three over there, no matter of the result, sort of thing.
Well, like back in, I reckon I want to say 06, 07-ish, there was Chris Sionian and Alan Hepburn from South Australia. They competed in Crankworks. And then there was a guy from Western Australia, Michael Prokop, weird like Russian name. He was in like District Ride and did a couple of Crankworks and stuff. But then for like, honestly, a decade almost, plus, it's just been dead. There's been like nothing to do with freestyle mountain bike in Australia. So to see it like kind of growing so fast and so big at the moment it's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Even just like, it felt like I'd been riding for 6 months and then it seemed quiet, and then all of a sudden it seemed like there was twice as many dirt jumpers out there. Like, it happened so fast. And even seeing how big Joyride was, like slopestyle at Joyride, I think they said there was maybe 40,000 or 50,000 people on the hill or something.
Ridiculous.
And then you start thinking of like how much bigger Highline was this year compared to last year. And you start going like, well, yeah, who knows what could happen in the next like 2-3 years, sort of thing. Like,
And we had a freestyle mountain bike slopestyle tour while we didn't have a national downhill series. Like, that's just amazing.
Yeah, that is quite extraordinary when you think about it that way. Yeah, I think obviously, I don't want to speak on Mikey's behalf, but I think we're both at the age now where we're both still super focused on making things happen for ourselves. But I know me personally, I'm thinking of the next lot of dudes now. I know I'm a realistic person. I've got rent to pay and shit. I'm not doing this for a whole lot longer. So I think if we can make things create just a little stepping stone or even just a bit of belief that you can go and do it. Because I know Dane and Leroy are the obvious young ones, but I watched Ted Oakley at Coralban do an oppo truck, and I was like, I would not oppo truck that jump. And I had no idea who Ted was before he did that. And then, there was Little Chase. I don't know what his last name is, but I'm talking 11-year-old kids that are just, the fact that they're out there hitting kickers is crazy in itself.
I just want to put my bike on Gumtree after watching that shit. I give up. I'm done. It's just ridiculous.
I think, that's pretty much my end goal is I'm giving it a red hot crack for the next 3 years. But if I don't make it as a full-time pro rider between now and then, but I can help those guys out and kind of give them, I've said to Dave about Leroy, I'll take him with me to I'll take him to Europe. It's not going to bother me.
That's sick.
They're good as kids. They're funny as to hang out with. Dane's parents, they're such great people. They had
lords. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time well for them.
Stay with them when we're up at Coralban, and to have, that's what I've loved most about mountain biking compared to BMX. I don't know if it's just because I'm a bit older, I'm looking at it a bit differently, but seeing seeing families involved in it the way that, seeing parents support their kids the way my parents supported me, whether you have money or you don't have money, it's just and then to meet the kid and the kid be a good kid, you go you just want them to succeed straight away sort of thing.
Dude, Dane blew my mind at Highland. When people told me it was 13, 14, whatever it is, I was just holy shit, it's going to be big.
Yeah, I think, there's so many good kids all over the world, which that shocked me when we were traveling, but at the same time, watching their progression rate, I think Leroy for free riding, I have no doubt that Leroy will be in Rampage.
Yes.
I think Leroy's 17 now, and I'd rate him as the best free rider in Australia on a big bike. And then you watch Dane's progression. It's and you can't turn around and say, he's got his own airbag. You've still got to send it on an airbag, and you've still got to learn the trick. It doesn't just happen by itself.
I mean, I can put an airbag in my backyard. It doesn't mean I'm going to go ride it every day.
Yeah, exactly. There've been days that we rode the airbag where it's you have one crash on it and you can't move for 2 weeks. You get whiplash, it can suck your limbs into it. You can still knock yourself out on one. But if we can just kind of, as I said, still give it a red hot crack, but at least leave some form of path behind for those guys to follow in our footsteps a little bit. I think that'd leave me the happiest, I think.
100%. 100%.
Feel like I am their dads.
But man, like those guys, like watching you go and ride internationally and then, go to Crankworks Cairns and stuff, and they can actually go and see you guys ride and give you high fives afterwards. They've got to be looking at it and going, oh, there's actually a pathway for us now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I definitely think I wouldn't say I was nervous about Crankworks Cairns. It's just like, I guess, a first event in your home country, you're not like you're really hoping for the best outcome sort of thing. And I think because I was just at Joyride before that as well, you go on like like you compare it automatically without even thinking about it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what I noticed most about Crankworks Cairns was that home crowd sort of vibe, where you did have kids that might not have even owned a mountain bike yet, like they were just there as a spectator. They wanted to come and see the Australians. They didn't want to go see like the top pro riders. Like I remember when I raced Bass, like I got like swarmed after that, and I'm sitting there trying to talk to Bass. I'm like, oh, like what's going on? Like just like freaking out over him a little bit, and then all the kids kind of like they just want to go to like the local Australian that like grew up in the same country as them, sort of thing. So yeah, like best case scenario, if we had an Australian rider in slopestyle at Crankworks Cairns, which I don't think that definitely can't happen next year because of the way the qualifying works. But the year after that, I think that would be like the best thing ever for kids to see, especially like aimed at it, like do it sort of thing.
They should give like a wild card to the home country's like crew.
Yeah, it would be sick, but it's also so broad spectrum. If you've seen the level of talent in like Canada and that,
yeah, true.
It's it is. That one is a fun talking point, the whole wild card situation, because there's a lot of misunderstanding behind it.
Yeah, right. But how so?
I think just like, so I guess the question is like, how would you give out a wild card? Like, how would you choose where the wild card goes to an Australian rider?
Just a death match.
That's pretty much what it would come down to, because it's an interesting topic, that one.
Everything's an interesting topic in mountain biking, mate. It's just never talked about.
Yeah, you can't get away from politics.
It is sick though, like still having that opportunity for people that maybe didn't fully qualify or had some issues or something. It's still cool to see that opportunity there for them.
Yeah, well, I think if there was going to be a wild card for Australia, it'd have to come through a gold event in Australia. So whether they do that, because then you'd still get guys from Canada and that coming over here for that gold event, the same way as what we went over there for their gold event. So, which means an Australian rider still might not get the wild card.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, that's where I guess the broader side of things starts coming into it. Is it's like, as soon as you go to a gold level event, it costs probably triple the amount to run, because gold level, they provide accommodation, like meals sort of thing, where it's just like meal tickets or vouchers or whatever. And then the course design, it pretty much needs to be run on a Crankworks level course. So you'd say now with Cairns being there, you'd hope that they could do that at Cairns.
Yeah.
And that is where our best opportunity would be to have a gold, or to have a wild card up for grabs for Crankworks Cairns in Australia.
Just need that gold event.
Yeah. But
that's a lot of money if you're paying for accommodation and food up in Cairns.
Well, yeah, that's where it comes into who funds it.
Yeah.
because Crankworks won't fund it, I don't think. And then we need an organisation in Australia with
with heaps of money.
Yeah.
That doesn't believe in road cycling. Yeah. Oh well, it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen. What are your big plans for 2023 then? You're coming into it healthy and everything, so
Yeah, I've still got a little bit of back pain, but I'm as healthy as I think I can be. And as I said, I'm still waiting on these contracts a little bit to really finalize everything, which I'm confident with. And like the way these brands discuss things with me is awesome. Like it leaves you pretty positive for the way things are going. But my calendar for next year will be every Crankworks event for speed and style, and the same silver events I did this year. So Highline, Switzerland, and Slovakia. Hopefully, I'll be spending a fair bit of time in Sweden I just made some good friends over there, and then hopefully get the invites to the gold events in Canada again, and that'll hopefully be the way to get the Crankwork spot.
Yes,
will be get a wild card over there. So it's I think I worked it out. Next year is about 14 events. So
wow,
that's quite a big year.
That's massive. It's bigger than one a month, right? It's like,
yeah. Well, when I think about this year, I think this year we did I think I said before, maybe 7 or 8 events or something, and it's been hectic. So yeah, I think I'm super lucky that everywhere we went, you kind of meet people. Everywhere in Europe, we met people that want to accommodate you and stuff. So hopefully, just those little things, you start saving money, start feeling a bit more comfortable. You have someone to pick you up and stuff, and you're not trying to hire a car and drive on the wrong side of the road. Just all that little shit that I'm hoping takes the stress out of things a lot, and just you focus on riding a lot more. But yeah, I think even just being at every Crankworks event next year for speed and style was I think just that in itself is going to be just big. So
yeah. You mentioned Sweden there. Those guys are off the chain when it comes to slopestyle and riding, hey? Their facilities are next level.
We went and rode. Yeah, me, Lenny, and Mike were riding. We were all in Sweden together, and we were riding Dome Skate Park where they all train. And that is in every session was Emil, Max Fredriksson, Alex Alenko, Elof Lund, Lucas Gill, plus more guys. And it's the most ridiculous thing to watch one of those sessions. You almost don't want to ride. You almost just want to spectate it because it's just insane.
Be a fly on the wall.
Literally, you can't not just sit there and watch. And hopefully they're all the nicest people as well. I cannot stress enough that Swedes are the nicest people on earth. But yeah, hopefully it's still a big what if at the moment because I don't know the actual FMB schedule. We know the work schedule, but not the FMB schedule. But the goal is to not fly home between Europe and Canada, which hopefully that would be spending my time in Sweden before Canada.
Would probably end up being cheaper as well, right?
Way cheaper. But that's also counting on that I get the invites to the gold events. So that's where it's so stressful as well without the financial help planning. You could pay to go to Canada for no reason. like
Yeah, true.
qualify for the gold events, but you want to be booking stuff as early as possible to save money. But yeah, it's yeah, I never thought I think I'm quite business smart with like things like,
Yeah.
but just the planning that goes into this stuff, just in your everyday, like trying to fit it into your everyday life. Like it's one of those things you kind of put in the back of your mind a little bit, and then all of a sudden, like before we know it, we're going to be at Highline next year, and I think we're leaving Highline on Sunday. And we've got to fly to Rotorua on the Tuesday or something for Crankworks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're the weekend. Highline's the weekend before Crankworks.
Is Cairns before Highline then?
No, Cairns is in April.
Oh, so it's Roto, Cairns.
Roto, then Cairns.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah, so yeah, just trying to even thinking about it now, I'm like, fuck. This is hard.
It's only like 4 hours to the airport from Highline, right? Like it's
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think I had no idea until I think I was talking to Caroline about her schedule, and she like sent it to me, and I was like, why are you like why are these so close? And she's like, yeah, because they're the weekend after each other. I'm like, oh.
You haven't even realized that.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm terrible with dates. Like I'm the worst person with dates ever. Like, but yeah, I can't wait to see the FMB schedule, because that's when you can really finalize stuff, and then you really have a solid idea of what you're doing for the year. And then when you have a solid idea of what you're actually doing, that's when you can go into training mode essentially, and it's when things get a bit more serious. Like at the moment I'm riding a fair bit, like as much as I can with work, but I'm still trying to figure tricks out. I won't say I'm learning anything because I'm doing them all over like a small resi sort of thing, but just figuring stuff out in a foam pit. But once you have a solid plan, I guess it's like pre-season for downhill racing. Like once you know to a certain point, you're going to push yourself twice as hard. Whereas at the moment, I'm just out riding my bike, which is plenty of fun. But yeah, it's like I like having that like structured routine of something to work towards. So
what's your process of learning new tricks and then managing the risk of injury? Because it's going to be pretty difficult, right?
Yeah, there's a lot I still do. Like a lot of the stuff I do at the local skate park will be like, like I'll do like 360 double bar spins fly out, and I'll do them a lot because then when you get to like a box jump, it's not a scary trick because you're used to doing it so low off the ground. You have twice as much time. So it's like I love going for the little rides at my local skate park because I never do anything progressive, but it's just like just the bike control and the timing of things helps a lot. But then learning an actual trick, it depends on what you have. Like when we don't have Benny set up anymore, but when we did, that was a flat bag and a landing bag. So you'd kind of just send something to the flat bag, find out what was right and what was wrong, and start working on it. And then you hope that you can keep doing it repetitively and it keeps working out. But then like tricks like cash rolls, I had cash rolls dialed, and then now I can't do them anymore. And I have no reasoning behind it. Like could not tell you why I can't do it. Like, but yeah, it's hard for me to learn tricks now because I just ride the indoor skate park with a small foam pit and resi. So you kind of spend as much time as you can in the foam pit, like trying to figure something out. So at the moment, I'm learning 360 double downside tail whip. So that's like, opposite double whip in a normal 360. And that starts off just by over kicking a 360 down whip and just wailing through the air. Like you just
see what happens.
Yeah, kick your bike as hard as you can and see how many times it spins, like, and then try and think about how to get back on it. So yeah, there's like I guess there's it's not often the best way to learn things. Well, if you got a foam pit, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, the only way I learn stuff is to start by doing something really, like, it'd look terrible the first time you do it. Like, you're literally just like, people would think there's no way you're trying what you're saying that you're trying, but that's how you start doing something, and then you just work on it from there. And then there's tricks like a flip bar to whip, where you've just got to like go for it in, like, they're terrifying in the foam pit, like, because you could just land on top of the bike, like, you could get absolutely worked doing them, even in the foam pit.
Let go of the bike midway through, and it's coming for you.
That's where it really depends on like how the body's feeling and like how tired you are after work to kind of decide what tricks you want to work on for that day. Like that 3 double down whip's a real good trick to work on if I'm not feeling like, if there's a chance I could get hurt. They're a good trick because I can just throw the bike as many times as possible, sort of thing. Whereas to do a flip bar whip is like, you've got to be willing to come in on top of the bike, sort of thing.
Is prepared to get hurt.
Yeah, like there's no good way to learn new tricks. Like, I wish there was.
Is there like certain things that you prefer doing over others?
Yeah, I love just like, I was a very tech BMX rider, like always doing lip tricks and stuff, and I like I love just throwing as many bar spins as I can, like doing a triple truck. Like I did one of them over like a Spox thing the other day, and that was like, I love doing that stuff, like giving yourself less time, quite technical. Just anything with a lot of bar spins. I think the volume's gone. Yeah. Oh God.
No, that was me. Sorry, it was the dog opened my door, and then the missus started blending some shit, so I put it on mute. Yeah, it's weird because like you've got all those bar spins, and you love the techie tricks, and you see like Matt Fredrickson and stuff that are the same, and like those Swedes that love that type of thing, and then you've got other dudes like Regacked, for example, like just flips and spins. He reminds me of Mike Spinner from back in the day. Yeah, like just send it. Although Mike Spinner never did a backflip, which was super interesting. But yeah, is it hard to kind of go into judged events knowing that you've got your technical abilities and then they've got their abilities that they're like? How do you kind of differentiate yourself?
I think that's what I had to. I think that's what I worked on the most before Highline this year. Like Highline this year, I was always going to do a front flip over that boner. And then I had double flips like dialed, like they were, like I knew I had to work on my big jump trick sort of thing, like the smaller stuff. Even if I don't have a big trick, I knew that, I could just get technical with stuff and make things work, sort of thing. And I think that's where, like, even like the double whip I did at Highline up the top, I think tail whip's quite a technical trick when you're just doing them like over something small, sort of thing. But I knew that I had to work on big jump tricks like what Regatkin's doing, sort of thing, because also, like, when you start going technical, then you go like, well, Emil's a technical rider. And when you look at the technicality behind his riding, that's on a whole nother level. So then you're way up, like, do you want to do big sendy tricks, or do you want to go a technical route where you're never going to catch Emil? Like I can gladly say that I'll never get to that of technical riding. But then, yeah, I think that's where at the moment I'm trying to keep a good mix of, like, I've been working on a lot of opposite tricks. And then as well, yeah, like big jump tricks, as well as, like, I'm just trying to be that guy that can go like, yeah, big tech trick over a small feature, but then can also hit a big jump and do a big jump trick in the same run, sort of thing. And it's like, it is hard to not compare yourself to what other people are doing, sort of thing, at the events.
Especially when it's a meal.
Yeah. Well, I think it where was it? Yeah, that Silver Star competition where I broke my back in Canada. I think in practice, I wasn't psyched out at all. I think I just started changing my run based on, like, what I was watching people do in practice, to go a bit more sendy, like a bit less tech, and do bigger stuff. Whereas after I watched qualifying, I'm like, oh, if I just did my original run, I would probably be fine. Like, I can't say what ifs, but, like, and I don't want to take it away from anyone, like, because, like, Mike rode that with a broken hand and he didn't qualify and crashed both runs. But, like, and there was a lot of good dudes that didn't qualify. But yeah, after I watched it, I was like, oh, like, that's where, like, I think I was pretty heavily influenced. Whereas that was a good learning curve to go back to, like, all right, go back to the tricks I want to be learning now, which I think is a good mix of the big tricks and the tech stuff. And I think that will work out for me at those competitions.
I think, like, the tech stuff, the smaller tech stuff is going to come more and more handy now that you're seeing what Crankworks are doing with their courses, like that satellite dish.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't believe, like, Rotorua with the spine. Like
so sick.
I ride spines every day. Like when I say that, I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, I reckon I could send a bigger trick over a spine than a jump. Yeah. And then, yeah, the way they're designing the courses now is very tech friendly, I'd say. So I think that will play in my hands a little bit, hopefully. But yeah, at the same time, like I look at, like, Mike's riding now, and he's so consistent with the tricks he needs to do well at the events.
Yeah.
So, like, with a cash roll, the fronty Superman, and a double flip, I watched him do them at every event and do well at every event. So it's like, that's where I was also a bit influenced when you go, like, do you then go back to going, like, all right, I just need, like, a few solid tricks that I can do every time round, get them perfect. But then, yeah, I started feeling like I was just, like, limiting myself to, like, I get in my own head so bad. I'll be like, oh, what if I go to a course and it's got, like, a full, like, right hip, and I've only been practicing straight jump tricks, and I have forgotten how to do every other trick that I've ever learned. And don't know what to do. That's what I start thinking in my head. So it's yeah, it's definitely yeah, I try not to compare myself, but I think anyone's going to do it no matter what sort of thing.
It's human nature, right?
Yeah, and I think it's definitely good because it definitely makes you, like, want to do something better. Like, I'll always, yeah, I'll always be comparing something to someone and try and find a better way to do it. But
I mean, yeah, like as I said, watching Mike Ross with those 3 tricks, like he'll do them. Watching him do speed, like low cash rolls at Highline was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
yeah,
Like just how locked he's got those things on track. But then you got to think whether the judges are perhaps watching it at every competition and know that you've got those tricks on lock, and then your scores might be affected because of that. And
yeah,
it's got to be difficult.
Yeah, trying to, like, I never show up to a comp thinking of it from a judge's perspective. Like, I think I did that once and it just like messed me up so bad. But yeah, I definitely agree with like watching Mike do speed and style, and he does a cash roll when he's going as fast as he can. I'm like, oh yeah, that shit's crazy. I always tell people as well about the cash roll he did in speed and style at Highline from the inside corner on that last jump that's like 2 meters long.
Yeah, and he was low on it.
Yeah.
Like oh, dude, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
What's it like going to speed and style for you? Because do you have like a race background at all? Or
Yeah. Yeah, so I raced for 10 years and like I was on like Vic State programs. I did Mighty 11s, which is you ride for Australia and New Zealand. Yeah, I think I stopped racing in junior elite, and that was because I did have I had more focus and more reason to pursue freestyle BMX at the time. So yeah, I was racing junior elite when I was 16 and then stopped when I went to America to do freestyle BMX. But yeah, like slopestyle is my like end goal of where I want to be. But yeah, speed and style is like I couldn't think of anything else you'd want to be doing, sort of thing. Like the fact that it was so well, the only speed and style I'd ridden was Highline, which when you compare that to the Crankworks course, like the Crankworks one, you go on double the speed.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you saw the first time I hit those corners, it was like absolute taking the piss. It looked like I'd never ridden a bike. But yeah, by the end of the weekend, I was so stoked on the racing side of things, not the tricks. Like by the end of it, I was like trying to land the tricks as smooth as I could, just so I could like hit the corners as fast as I could, sort of thing.
That's sick.
So that's where I wouldn't say like my sponsors have like said it's a main focus, but they like really want me at Crankworks doing speed and style because like I think it's sick, and I guess they think that I'd be good at it. So but yeah,
it's like the perfect mix for you, right?
Yeah, I was just like, I knew it would be fun. Like I never doubted that, but I also didn't think we'd be going that quick.
It's even like Highline, as you said, it's a slower course. Like it's not a big course or anything, but I watched like you and a few of the boys come through, and I'm like, these guys are fucking moving. Like it's a proper race.
Yeah, like I put myself over that first corner on the inside once. Like there's just like it's yeah, when you haven't gone fast for a long time either, it's such a shock to the system to just like yeah. I remember even the first time I went to do this like gap on the Cairns course, and I was so sure that I was going fast enough, and I was going like half the speed of what I needed to be. And then I watched like everyone else go through there and do the gap and be like, it just looks so unrealistic how fast they're going, and that realizing that you've got to go that quick as well. And I think I did all right by the end of it. I don't know what happened, but I must have just started hitting the corners fast and naturally getting used to it. And then But yeah, it was like, fuck, I wish there was a camera on me, like me first lap down that. Because it's questionable that I can ride a bike after that.
I think like the crazy thing is like you're not on a race bike either. You're on your slope bike, so you're running like
My
tires pumped up to like 50 with no traction, like
I was
ridiculous.
running. I changed my tires for the event. I put on knobbier tires. I still put 60 psi on them, which was so dumb. I left my slopestyle gearing, which is like a 3211 or something, so I could barely pedal out the gate. Because I went into it so confident about the gate starts. I'm like, I'm going to outsnap everyone. Like, I would have looked like such a dickhead. I'm just like, yeah, BMX race, I'm going to snap the starts, like, be just fucking cranking it out. And then when I realised everyone else's gear was like half of mine, and they'd taken like 4 pedals by the time I was on my second, just because my ratio was so hard. I was like, this sucks. And I burnt my brake pads out riding where the shuttle dropped us off up the top of the hill. I was just sitting down the whole time on my seat, riding this single trail thing down to the start gate with me brakes on the whole time. And after about 3 laps, I'd burnt my brakes out. So I had no way of stopping down the bottom. There was 2 races where I hit the fence like so hard down the bottom.
That track looked so fun though. Like it looked so sick for a proper track.
Yeah, that was so fun. I didn't like that. No, not that I didn't like it. I struggled a lot with that flat turn thing that they put on the side of that landing. Yeah. That was just like, it just seemed like a good way to take the person on the outside out if you're on the inside. And if you're on the outside one, you had no way to really cut down on it sort of thing. It was just like kind of ride it out sort of thing until you're over the main part of the corner, and then either try and pump back in hard or get a pedal in or something. But that just felt like a bit of a stopping point sort of thing. Like you hit like all these rollers into the like S-bend turns so fast and then just like creep through this corner and then like, all right, go again. Like,
just like a pause break halfway through.
Yeah, little breather. But yeah, that was, I don't think you could have asked for a better course, especially if it's the first Crankworks event.
I think it comes down to the builders, right? They had good builders there. So
I think, well, if you look at everything there, they did a pretty unreal job.
Don't want to blow.
I know Jai was all over it, so.
Yeah, we don't want to inflate his head too much, though.
No.
Easy, man. We might start wrapping things up a little bit here.
Yep.
There's 3 questions I like to ask everyone when they come on. What advice would you give to anyone that wants to, I guess, take slopestyle or BMX or their sport seriously and go overseas and do what you're kind of doing?
Have fun mostly, like, and don't rush into it. Like there was always this thing when I was younger of like, oh, you'll get further if you're better when you're 16, like if you're a prodigy sort of thing. Whereas when I look back at it now, it's always like take a little bit longer with things and like really think about the process and what your actual end goal is. Like to get into Crankworks, you've got to go through like the European circuit, the Canadian circuit, build those points up like what we did this year sort of thing. And then, but yeah, I can't stress enough that like patience with it is like the best thing. Like be patient, have fun. And I really do believe like things happen best when they happen naturally. So I think that's where I'm fortunate at the moment. I think things are coming full circle for me a little bit, and I think that's kind of leading me to hopefully a pretty successful year next year.
Yeah, for sure. 100% agree. See a bunch of like young kids at the moment and they're all like pushing so hard, which is sick, but they're all pushing to become the next World Cup winner when they're 13. And it's like you can just chill a little bit.
Yeah, chill a little bit. Like slopestyle's a big one for kids not learning basics, which like I learned the basics racing, but when I see kids that like if you can't do a manual or you can't ride with your finger on your brake to prevent a crash, like the little things you learn when you start riding because they're out trying backflips on day one. Like, yeah, I think I still do that now. If I'm having like a bad few days or whatever with like trying new tricks, I literally go down the skate park and just do stuff that I've been doing since. Like I'll go manual for as long as I can around the skate park, like, and I'll do it non-stop until I get further and further, or just the little things. Like I'll go find a little gap to try and jump smooth, or just going over fundamentals of things is massive.
I think that's, I know we're supposed to be wrapping things up, but that just reminded me of like Chase Hawk. Like you watch his Instagram videos, just his manuals, and everyone's like, how do you learn to manual? He's like, I just practice it. Like it's just a basic thing from racing.
Yeah.
And it's made him famous. Like he can do some of the best tricks in the world, but like those manuals he has on lock are just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a massive thing these days, I think.
They can all do triple bar spin 3 whips.
Yeah.
But they can't do an X up. It's so weird. Is there anything like you regret or you would have changed up till now?
In life or just with mountain biking?
Just with BMX and mountain biking.
I think I wouldn't change anything with BMX except for like I think I guess if I could go back, you'd kind of like, I think I was so hard on myself for so long. Like I'm talking like 3-4 years hard on myself sort of thing, just about like where I was kind of ending up and the pressure I put on myself to ride as hard as I could every time I rode my bike, and how frustrated I'd get if I didn't get a clip or something, and like the pressure I felt to film something and take photos and let it consume my life so much when there was no need to, really. And I think that's where it comes down to, as I said before, like my most successful times have been when I've just like been patient and just let things happen, and have the most fun doing that way. And that's all I change really, is just be a bit easier on myself.
100% get it. And last question, which seems to be the hardest, but if you're like feeling a bit less motivated or not that keen to get out and ride your bike or anything, do you have any like music or anything that you listen to, or what kind of inspires you to get out on the bike?
I think a lot of people always have a video that's like going to be your number one no matter what. Like I'm like that with Brandon Semenuk's Raw 100s. Like there's a compilation on YouTube of all of them, and I'm like, I'll just watch them and go do anything. But like tonight I was really struggling with motivation, or today like riding, and you just start doing things that you know are fun. Like if you don't want to ride, if you don't have the motivation to go and ride, like just go ride and find something like stupid to do or out of the ordinary that you wouldn't normally do, and before you know it, you'll be having the best session of your life. So
true.
Yeah, the best advice I can give.
Man, that Raw 100, like where they've put them all together in that long video, is one of the sickest things anyone can go watch. Yeah,
that's like, I can't get over how good they are every time you watch them. It's like every time you'll find something new. in them.
Yeah.
Like, blows your mind.
He's too good. He's too damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy, man. Well, yeah, thanks so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed the chat and chatting with you. That's right, man. Hopefully I'll see you at Highline. Still trying to get my schedule together, but hopefully I'll be there. Which will be sick. I'll ask Carolyn to do mine as well while she's at it.
Yeah.
Well, take it easy, man, and hopefully I'll see you in a couple of months.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye. There we go. That was a rad episode chatting to Luke Parker about his journey from BMX racing to BMX freestyle to taking on the world with mountain biking. And he also gave us a fair bit of insight into what it's like actually traveling the world as a privateer slopestyle athlete, which is super rad. Thanks to all our sponsors, Trek, Tailored Trails, Lead Out Sports, Frank's Tech Tees, Dirt Surfer, Crush, and Fist. Really appreciate their support. As I said before, without their support, we wouldn't be able to keep this podcast running. If you want to support the podcast, jump over to the website, buildandtape.com, buy some merch. Not much left at the moment, but we're fixing that for the new year. Shout us a coffee. Do whatever you want to kind of financially help the podcast. If you don't want to spend any cash, make sure you just share it around with your mates, your grandma, your dog, your parrot, whoever. Get them listening and spread the love. Anyway, that's the last episode for 2022. 2023 is going to come out with a bang. But until then, go out and have a bunch of fun.